Well, folks, we made it to season 7. Welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. I am your host, Josias Abriel, and published author. Speaking of published author, before the episode starts, make sure to go check out my books. They're available on Amazon, and the link is in the episode description below. Go ahead, get you some healing. One's a poetry book about overcoming pain and trauma and stuff like that, and then the other one's a self-awareness interactive journal notebook. So get you some healing. You're worth it. Another thing that you're worth all the love in the world. You're worth all the healing in the world. And I'm glad that you're here with us today to heal together. You are loved. You are valuable. This is your sign. Alrighty, enjoy the episode. Bye, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Vulnerability Time. I am your host and published author and PhD student, Josias Abriel. With us, it's been a while, folks. Welcome to season 7 of the podcast. I want to thank folks. I have an update. The podcast, folks, is now heard in 51 countries. So I want to thank you all so much. I know we have who's new on there, Taiwan, blah, 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 blah. I think Argentina, Singapore, Nicaragua. If I'm missing any others, I will mention in the next episode. But I want to thank you all so much. With us today, we have Frank. Hello, Frank.
Sias, it's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you, Frank. Tell us a little bit about you before we get started.
Well, I have this condition that's been popularized and publicized, I should say, in recent years. The technical name is hyperthymesia, and the more popular term is superior autobiographical memory. I remember every day of my life since I was a little under 6 years old, and I'm now 65. So that's almost 60 years of daily memories. And what that includes is the day of the week each day was, the weather where I was, big news events, if anything happened, and personal events. And I'm a licensed professional counselor and life coach. And many times people have said, well, why don't you become an accountant or a mathematician or something? But it has more to do with autobiographical memory than it does numbers. So one of the reasons I went into studying psychology and all is, along with all the memories of each day, it includes the emotions that I was feeling when the memories happened, and including the not so nice ones. So since I'm not going to forget the memories, I wanted to learn how to at least let go of the feelings from the bad memories. Things like I mean, I haven't had, I guess, what many people would call anything really horrible happen to me, but I've had times where I was let go in jobs and had romantic breakups and a lot of not so nice things, as well as, so I wanted to be able to retain the memories from the good times with letting go of the feelings from the bad times. And
I've never heard about that before. At what age were you diagnosed with that?
well, I knew I could do it by the time I was 7 years old. I knew that
Okay.
some adult had explained to me that what I had was unusual and it was a gift. And I wasn't officially diagnosed until Wednesday, February 9th, 2011, when I was 50, because I was studied at the University of California, where they've said now that I was number 12, and they've now studied more than 100 people who have what I have. But we're still if this sounds like an oxymoron, we're still a major majority of
Yeah.
the whole human population.
Okay, alrighty. And you also have a YouTube, right?
Minority, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have a YouTube, and I actually sent you the links a few minutes ago, and I have a website, Healy's Healing, and Facebook, Emotional Healing with Frank, and I'm starting with the YouTube and some of my social media. I'm going to be starting an additional thing pretty soon called Fun Fact Frank. It's every day I'll
Yeah.
do a little broadcast you can download on things that happened on this day of the year.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
like famous births, events that happened, and
Yeah.
things like that.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Fun facts with Frank. I like that it rolls off the tongue well, Frank. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so folks, you'll be able to find more info about Frank. His links will be in the episode description below, so be sure to check that out. You know we love to support over here. Alrighty, so today, folks, we're going to be talking about needing to make it in the world often can inhibit people from expressing and accepting vulnerability and how to overcome that. With Frank. Frank, tell us more about that. What is your story and your insights behind that?
Well, it's like even though I was good with memorizing the dates, and there were a lot of things growing up that I wasn't so good at. I was not an athletic kid, and
Mhm,
with music I could sing, but I was never too good with the instruments. And I'd played the trumpet, and it was just really frustrating not being that good at it. Well, my
mhm,
dad had been a trumpeter, and so it was like I found myself covering up the shame I felt with anger
mhm,
about it, and so and I wasn't real sociable either. My voice was different from other people's, and and I was sensitive to teasing.
yeah,
So I uh, and this is probably the first time I ever admitted all this stuff on a show because when you're young, I think a lot of young people today, teens and 20s, and sometimes even beyond, they have this pressure and this uncertainty about how are they going to make it in the world? Like if they want to get married and how are they going to make it in a career and all this. And so they tend to hide their vulnerabilities and won't admit that they're not good at anything, which I think that whole thing itself is a vulnerability,
mhm,
the defensiveness about anything that they're not good at. And so, and over the year, and so I realized a couple years ago when I was involved in this thing that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but maybe if I'm on your show again,
mhm,
once it's released, I thought, why in the world, as a 63-year-old, do I still sometimes have the mentality of a 23-year-old who still has to prove things to people?
mhm,
I mean, I've been a successful therapist, successful author and coach, and have been had my memory studied, and so I mean that's enough for. I mean that's enough to. I think the way to get around that is even when you're young and feel like you're not sure if you'll make it in the world. It's okay to accept who you are right at the moment, and I'll add to that that it doesn't mean you'll always be that way. Like I've learned how to be outgoing and sociable. And in fact, when you do that introvert extrovert thing, there's actually a middle category called ambivert.
Bird. Mhm.
And that's what I think I am.
For those who don't
I,
know, can you tell us what ambivert is?
well, it's sort of a balancing out of introversion and
Mhm,
extroversion. It's like I found that I still value my alone time to collect myself
yes.
and think, but then I enjoy parties and social events too. And really, so I feel energized whether I do both, as long as there's a balance there. Like back when I was single, if I had days when I was all alone without I mean, I'd enjoy them to a point, but then have to call somebody up.
Mhm.
And likewise, if I've had weekends that were nothing but constant social events, I'd enjoy them, but I'd be ready for some alone time after that,
Right, right, right.
sort of achieving a balance. So I worked on that, and I worked on and I exercise and keep myself in shape. Although if they have senior Olympics, I don't think I could do that. But probably if they had some like if they had a charity where you swim a certain number of laps in a pool and people donate per lap, that I could do because I have endurance when swimming. Just I was never that fast, but I was long,
Mhm.
and so and so that's and so things I've worked on now. I wasn't much of an artist either, but I can appreciate a painting without having to create one. I figure my creative talents lie more in the writing sphere. So,
Yeah.
you know, so, and, sometimes I know sometimes a teenager or a young adult might feel like really down, thinking may if they just had a major setback that they're not good at anything. You need to get out of that mindset quickly. Couple things, two ways to do it, and I'd suggest doing both of these thinking things. One is think back over your whole life. Don't limit it to maybe something bad that just happened. Look over your whole life and what you might have been good at, and then also this might sound a little like joking with yourself, but that could be good too. Have a thought. Well, what's the cutoff age where if you haven't proven you're good at something, you never will be? And I find that that's just an idea anyway. I mean, you
Mhm.
can, add people like Colonel Sanders didn't make it big in business till he was about my age, and
Mhm.
Grandma Moses started painting at 76. So you can do that, and I would say along those lines too, if you with safe trust when you're with safe people in your life who you trust, it can be a real relief to let your guard down
Mhm.
and even make a joke about might be like, well, I couldn't fight my way out of a wet paper bag, or gee, if I ever neaten something up, I know you would probably faint.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like make jokes about your shortcomings and vulnerabilities.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's kind of like a way of, and a form of like embracing it while also acknowledging it and not like beating yourself up.
Yeah,
I like that.
that's right. Just see, that's the difference. Like if you're having a problem with it, then you will be beating yourself up if you're not
Hmm.
accepting it.
Right, right.
And I think it's important to but I know there's some people I've known who actually seem to define themselves. I mean, even when they talk about themselves, define themselves as people who just have bad luck or aren't too good at anything. And well, and I mean, that might be healthy to a point, but I think they shouldn't just like not try anything anymore.
Right, right.
You never know.
So there are two things that you mentioned that really stood out to me. One is, you know, uh, you had emphasized uh, being safe around others, having that kind of like safe environment to help oneself, accept oneself. Um,
Yeah.
so could you speak a little bit more about that? For I guess here's a more specific question. Did you grow up, and this doesn't have to mean family, it can mean family, it could mean friends, social group. When did you start, you know, seeing uh, or feeling a safe environment? And what were like some of the signs that let you know, okay, this is a safe environment? Because some people, you know, they grew up not having safe environment at all. And so it's their normal. So they don't recognize, oh, okay, like I'm in this bubble. I don't know I'm in a bubble until it pops type
Oh
of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, well, I think it's my family was always, for the most part, safe, but
Okay.
until I was about 16 years old, then there were a lot of pressures going on. My mom was starting in the work world after she graduated college, and
Mhm.
my dad was a brilliant man, but not the but he'd never win a gold medal for patience.
Mhm.
And so, doing everyday things, he had no patience with me if like, I could look at the control panel on a lawnmower, and if I didn't get something, he'd scream, "You are incredibly incompetent."
Mhm.
And so, so it's like the family was it until then. And as I got older, well, a Christian group I was involved with in high school was a big help, and friends were good. So, because I think when you have a safe place like that, you could consider it both your launching pad and your landing pad
Mhm.
for self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
if you feel nurtured enough in your supportive environment, then you can go out into the world and deal with things better. But when you start to get burned out again, you could go back to your safe launching pad, and having supports like that. And supports, I mean, a good friend and a loving spouse and family member will be aware of your vulnerabilities or your things you're not good at, and still love and support you.
mhm.
If you have even one person like that, you've made a great accomplishment. You're very lucky,
Yes.
fortunate. Yeah.
What is your definition of give us your definition of safe.
Well, I would say safe is where you're both accepting of
Mhm.
yourself and of everything around you. And it doesn't mean you wouldn't try and improve things, but accepting things the way they are in the moment, and feeling feeling cared for. And some people get that through belief in a higher power, as well as the people in their life. And often when you consider people in your life, you might get some emotional needs met by one person, but other ones met by someone else.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so it's like, feeling cared for, and feeling like you're not going to be harmed, and if something does go wrong, you'll
Mhm.
that kind of borders on confidence that
Yeah.
too, when you feel like if something does go wrong, you'll be able to handle it.
Yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So can you tell us um how and why vulnerability is important for um let's say self-expression, in a world that is maybe telling us, hey, be in a box. Don't show this side of you.
Yes, well, I think there's so many ways that bee in a box comes out in the world. Like,
Hmm.
you see both online and on TV and in the movies, so many allegedly perfect bodies, so
Hmm.
that I think about 90% of the population think of themselves as twos, TOOs,
Hmm.
too tall, too thin, too heavy, and I think when you appreciate who you are, like a lot of the ways that I've been able to have happiness is by just accepting people who they are. And I think I'm not going to judge this person. I'm going to just love and enjoy them, even if others might not even come near them. So
Sorry, I'm about to cry. That was amazing.
uh,
Um, Once I did not bring a tissue. Y'all know I cry a lot. Um,
Okay.
I cry a lot. Nice to meet you, Frank. I cry a
And that's
lot.
okay.
You say that again?
And that is okay.
Exactly, exactly. Yes. Um, Frank, how long did it take you to achieve that accomplishment of being able to just accept people as they are?
Actually, that happened pretty young, actually.
Okay, good.
It's like at 6 years old, I had a memory revolution. And I think around 16 years old, I noticed I was starting to look at things differently than how I used to. I would, like all day long, whether I interacted with people at school or anywhere else or work, or whether I uh, whether I just overheard a conversation, I would just I would think thoughts like, well, that person or those people are doing the best thing they know how to do to get their needs met. And I would just feel this incredible compassion for them. And I remember at one point thinking a lot of people only feel compassion if somebody just got some bad news or got hurt or something, had a loss, but I could do it with just people going about their everyday lives. And basically, and that really never left me. And I came about an interesting way. I was getting angry and aggravated a lot.
Mhm,
When I started high school, the schoolwork was more demanding, and more of the kids were taking their schoolwork seriously. So I thought, oh my God, I might lose my status as the best student now. And then
mhm,
who would I be?
yeah,
And then, but I noticed at one point, I decided to try an experiment. What would happen
mhm,
if I just let go of all this anger and aggravation and all this worry? I wonder what would be left underneath if I let all that
mhm,
go. So I started just letting go of negative feelings. And that was what it was underneath: incredible peace, incredible love, and acceptance of others. So I guess not
mhm.
only was I precocious with the memory, but I was precocious with spirituality.
Yeah. So where would you say that, you know, you being at a place where you can accept others as they are, would you say that that has been personally liberating? If that doesn't make
Yes,
sense, I can make it make sense. Does that make sense?
yeah, well, personally liberating.
Mhm,
Yes, I think it's funny. I think that it may be one reason why, even at 65 years old, I'm in reasonably good health and I don't look
mhm,
my age. Because I mean, judging people and complaining about them
mhm.
causes a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so much easier just to know that. And I think, and really, and I'm not saying with the memory for every day. Yes, I think I'm exceptional that way. But for this, I don't think I'm exceptional. I think
Mhm.
anybody could do it.
Yeah. Wow, wow. That's amazing. I have one more question about that is
Yeah.
so you said from early on I believe you said around 16 you had that that realization, that acceptance of just others. Um is there something that you can pinpoint, like a root to that? Is there like a start to that? Was that from personal experience, or was that always just in you, or did that come from like a circumstance or a place, or that makes
Well, if you
sense?
notice, it was around the same time that I started not getting along with my parents,
Okay.
and went through a short period of feeling very scared, like the
Mhm,
bottom was going to fall out in my life, and it got to a point I could not stand feeling that way
mhm,
anymore. And And if anyone who's in that position and feels like suicide or something, don't just realize a couple things. One is that you know, our emotions are really responses to our thoughts and beliefs and not actual events. So when you get mad about something, you're responding to your opinion about it. You get worried about something, it's how you're thinking about it is really it. And then there was and so when you realize that, it can be easier to just let go of those of those feelings, and unless you're an out and out psychopath with no conscience, and possibly even then,
Mhm.
you can achieve this. And it wasn't really effort, it was automatic.
Mm.
Like I said,
Wow.
well, if I remove all this emotional gook, what would be left? And
Mm.
that's what I found was there.
Yeah. Wow. Was it easy to remove all of that?
I would say that once I got the hang of it, it was easy, but it
Okay.
was a lot of work
Yeah.
because most of us have a lot of baggage,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
it took it took work and dedication. Like for a while there, I was not as much invested in school activities as I'd used to be, or
mhm,
with social life, because I was doing so much inner work that
mhm.
I wanted to get this right.
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha, gotcha. For, is there, do you have, for someone listening right now who has maybe just realized that they don't fully accept people as they are, like they thought they did, and they're wanting to be able to, achieve that accepting others as they are, you know, what advice would you have, or words of encouragement, or words of honesty, or
I
yes.
would say, well, I would say that you will have to make a lot of changes in the way you think, but with all the studies since the 90s on the brain's neuroplasticity, it's doable.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're actually changing your brain a lot on the inside.
that's amazing to hear that, it is possible, you know. I love that you had said that. Yeah. That's amazing. I needed to hear that. I used to accept people as they are, and I just used to. It was just so easy for me. And then life took another turn. What was this? 2021? Life took a turn, and my view on humans completely just shifted. It just shifted, and ever since then I've not, been the same. And then I thought I got back to, just accepting people as they are. It turns out um I accepted a lot, but not fully, until like I got in an argument with one of my best friends, who I consider my brother. And I like have like when people like tell me, like, just tell me the truth. They don't like sugarcoat. Like if I'm wrong, they'll tell me, hey, you're wrong. And so like he had mentioned that I don't accept him like he accepts me. And he was saying, because like he does accept me fully, and he mentioned that I don't accept him, and I didn't realize it until he said it. And so um I went back to therapy, and I'm still in therapy working on that, because I didn't see it until it was said. And now that it was said, now that it was, pointed out, I can look back and just see, wow, like I wasn't, and not just him, just, people, mostly males. And that's, of course, that's like rooted in trauma and things like that. And so, yeah, so that's why, like, when you had started mentioning that, like, I started crying because I was like, I needed to hear that so much, and I'm so grateful that you had. I'm crying now. I'm so grateful that you had said those words. I really do needed to hear that. I really do, want to just grow and be better. Like, I really want to be in a place again where I am able to, fully accept others. Because me personally, and this is just my own personal beliefs, I truly think that that's how I would like the world to be. I would like to see that, in the world, all over the world, just all over the world, like people like, you know, accept you as you are, and don't say, oh, like I would never say this. Like I never, my struggle with accepting people fully, it doesn't come from like, oh, too short, to this, to that. But I'm going to use that as an example because I know that that's what we see a lot in our faces. I look on commercials, I look on movies, and it's always this certain body type that is always thrown in our faces,
Yeah.
yeah, and there can start, internalized rejection and things like that. And what I've realized, I'm not saying this is this way for everybody, but I've realized this is reality for many and has been for myself in the past, is that oftentimes, internalized rejections can turn into projections. And so we could, at least,
Yes.
yeah, so, yeah, so, and then that rejection internalized, it gets projected out, and then it can just start to manifest into multiple ways, like a tree, there's a roots and there's the trunk, and then there could be all these different branches. And
Yeah.
then before it's too many branches, you can't see the root or the trunk, and now you got to do some digging to find out, okay, this is where this is coming from, and so,
Yeah.
yeah, so I needed to hear that, Frank. Thank you.
Well, that's right. There can be a lot, and sometimes
Mhm.
even when people go through therapy, they'll like resolve something, but then there's more to it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
things and so it's really but I mean it's okay. I think oftentimes people even people who I haven't talked to much, they might just sense it seems like they sense that I just they sense my energy. I think that I just accept them and they'll get very comfortable quickly.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I sense that, Frank. I sensed that, Frank, when we had our pre-meeting. I sensed that, and so I'm very such an empath, and I had a huge spiritual awakening when I died when I was 15, and ever since I died and came back, I was able to just feel people, like feel
Yeah.
people's just energy. Just felt it. I still feel it. And so, yeah, Frank, and I like what you said, about, oftentimes, like, let's say we work out something, like, for example, in therapy, and then it's just like, yeah, you work that out, and then you also realize, oh, there's more to the story, there's more to go.
Yeah.
I've been in therapy since, uh, over a decade, on and off, coming to therapy when I need it and when I want it. So on and off, but over a little over a decade, and it's amazing like what I learned about myself and how I learned that, oh, there's more than one root. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this connected to that. And you just would never think that this would connect to this branch, but because they look so completely different, but slowly I saw how it connected. And so I'm very, very, very grateful for therapy. And I'm looking forward to seeing, what more is there to this acceptance route. Because I feel like I was able to accept others as they are for so long because I died and came back. And what I experienced when I died, when I was on the other side, the amount of love and oneness and togetherness that stayed with me. And it always just stayed. It just stayed. I never had to work it out necessarily um, until 2021 when just really, really horrible things were happening, like back to back to back, like back to back to back. And it just, I never thought anything could shift my mind, but it did. And so now I'm in a place where I have to work to, achieve that, accepting of others. But, yeah, as they are fully, fully.
Well, yes, well, I'll tell you the one aspect of it that was hardest for me was accepting people, nasty people.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
that's my,
I would
that's my heart.
never judge somebody for not being smart or good looking or
Mhm.
talented, but
Mhm.
just nasty people, I
Yeah.
just pretty much, well, that's who they are. That's where they are at their level of humanity right now.
Yeah. Oh, I like how you verbalized that. Yeah, because that's where my struggle is, and that's where it started in 2021. So yes, yeah, that's where huge of my struggle is, and I like how you said that that's where they are in their humanity right now. And I like, oh, that was beautiful. That was verbalized perfectly. That was, yeah. Okay, I needed to hear that, and I received that. That's where they are right now in their humanity.
Oh, good. Yeah, so really think about that with whatever happened in 21. I was hey, right when the pandemic was starting in 2020, I was I had worked at this counseling job for a little over 10 years, and
Mhm.
the new supervisor and I butted heads. And she started writing me up for everything. I had consulted a lawyer, but my wife talked me out of it. Thought, no, just stay with your job and make money, but I was like, and eventually, but then I got this job that was a much better. I mean, it would have been a great job for a lot of years, but then within like 2 months, I got a job that was a much better fit.
Mhm.
So, like a lot of times, when things don't go your way, it's preparing you for something else.
Oh, I needed to hear that too. Wow, wow, that's amazing. Shit, that's amazing, Frank. Um, Folks, this is why I love being in the dark when I come into episodes because I just realized, like, I was like, wow, I end up getting healing too. I didn't even know. Oh my gosh, yes. Wow, I'm speechless. I'm gonna sit and marinate on your words, Frank. Thank you.
Sure.
Literally, thank one. I want to thank you. I want to take this time to thank you before we wrap up.
Okay.
I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for helping heal the world. You've already been doing that, so here's another platform to just, continue
Yeah.
it, and thank you for being born and being alive. Thank you for that. In this world where, the human experience, it's not easy.
Yeah.
some might have it easier than others, but like just the human experience as a whole, it's not easy. It's just, it comes
Yeah.
with grief and the resistance and the of joy and love, or joy and mourning all at the same time. It comes with it all.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here on this earth and helping, just add light to the world.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. I truly mean that.
It's
So,
yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
yeah. Thanks, Frank. Everyone, it is Frank. Remember to check out Frank's links in the episode description below. Um, Welcome to season 8, episode 2, everyone. Frank, before we head out, do you have anything you want to say? Anyone you want to say hello to, or any last minute words or advice, or nothing?
Well, I just want to reiterate the fact that the idea that you know, it is safe to express your vulnerabilities in the right environment, and I would like it if if everyone in the world let go of the idea of having to be perfect.
Mm, yes. Yes. Wow. Frank is watching me hold in my tears. Why? Because this is the type of tears where I ugly cry, and if I ugly cry, no one can understand what I'm saying. So I'm trying to hold in the tears so I can sound, but I'm gonna cry after this. Cry tears of gratitude, because
Yes,
I'm
there's a
very grateful. It's especially when you really just needed to hear those words, and it just comes out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere. Like, I was not expecting, you know, that there were words that you had said that I needed to hear today because of something that happened to me yesterday.
yeah.
So, literally yesterday, not even 24 hours ago. And so,
I think that's how it works out sometimes.
yeah, I'm so grateful. It lets me know that higher powers, higher self, that universe is, still looking out for me. God, the source, is still looking out for me, and that I'm still I'm recognized. So thank you, Frank. Um,
Sure.
with that being said, folks, it has been another episode of Vulnerability Time. Oh, don't forget, folks, to check out my books on Amazon. The link will also be in the episode description below. Get you some healing. One of them is a self-awareness interactive journal notebook, and it has prompts, and you engage with it, and it's just amazing. It's amazing. Folks, go check it out. Alrighty, with that being said, I will see y'all next episode for whatever that will be.